Thing. My name is predictably Nelda Schulte, and I am joined tonight by Gail Donkersgood on my right from British Columbia and Jonah Silvock from beautiful BC. And the reason that I started this group is because I wanted to help landlords, especially those who are starting out for the first time, bypass the landmines that I stepped in when I first became a landlord. And part of the reason that I do this is to help landlords, to educate landlords. And to that end, I always invite special guests on my Ask Nelda Live show so that they can help you save money, get some tips to bypass landmines, and just overall educate you with things that you might not have found out on your own while you got your nose to the grindstone. So tonight's special guest is Jonah Silvock from the Landlords Buying Group. Welcome, Jonah.
Thank you, Nelda. Thank you for having me on the show. It's good to finally be on. It's been
Yes, it is. We've tried twice. Well, this is our second and successful try, and we're thrilled that you're here tonight.
Yeah, thank you. It's a pleasure.
And Jonah's going to show us how to save money. Now, there seems to be a group with a similar name in the UK. Is this something that people in the UK normally do? They have a landlords buying group there, or can you kind of walk me through that?
Yep. So to give a bit of background, this is a concept that I've taken from the UK that I'm trying to bring to Canada. It's a buying group concept. So anybody knows the buying group method. It's getting buying power of multiple different people and putting them into the same branch or the same framework that allows them to get discount pricing on whatever the material is, depending on the buying group. So the one in the UK was established, got to be about 10, 15 years ago now. And there's over 5,000 or 6,000 members nationwide. Wow. Purchasing from the same vendors, same suppliers, same service companies. So the discounts that they have with those partners and the purchase agreements are astronomical. It's better than what contractors can pay for their materials too.
So how do they manage to give such great prices, better than contractor prices?
The way it works there, it's slightly different here in Canada, obviously different side of the globe. But what they've done, they've tapped into a framework that the government uses to look after their social and welfare housing. Mm-hmm. So like here, we have houses that are provided by the government for people with either low incomes or whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. And what they've done, they've tapped into that framework, which was created solely to help those people. And it's a framework that you can't get into easily. It takes a lot of negotiation and poking people to get in there, but they got there eventually, and now they've got pricing that nobody can compete with.
That's amazing.
It's an absolute no-brainer for the residential landlord in the UK, and that's exactly what I'm planning to do here for Canadian landlords too.
So what group are you targeting then? You're targeting residential landlords, but you said, are you looking for the people with the multi-families or people with single-family dwellings, or everybody?
Everybody, yeah. Anybody who is a residential or commercial landlord in Canada can be a member of this group. Especially with the thing that really gives me the feel-good factor about this is that the Canadian landlords don't have a lot of help. They don't have many frameworks in place to help them. Yes, there's associations and groups like this that are fantastic for advice, but I want to build something that's going to have a long-standing positive impact on the landlord market. It's going to save people money because being a landlord is tough, stressful. Most people work alongside it. We need something in place that's going to start now. It's going to be a bit rocky to begin with, but the ultimate goal is to streamline everything and save landlords a fortune when it comes to renovations, maintenance, and it can only grow from there. So,
thank God, because all of us who are landlords know we pay a lot of money in renovations, and especially if you have an older house. Mm-hmm. Well, for me, for the last 5 years, for one of my properties, it was ongoing plumbing issues.
Yeah.
I replaced the roof. There was this, there was that. There's always something, fence, the foundation. Yeah. So, you're paying for the supplies, you're paying for the contractor. You just pay through the nose every time. And I can't say that the income tax deductions are really all that great. And I still always, every time I submit them, they always ask me to resubmit them. They want to go over everything with a fine-tooth comb because they never believed me the first time. So the amount of work you have to do to get the refund is crazy.
That's the thing. there's so many different places you can purchase materials. And my concept is most people who are landlords get into the business for cash flow, right? They want positive cash flow. They want to make money. They want to grow. They want to develop. If there's nothing in place that's going to help that, then it's just going to be all over the place, which is what it is now. So that's why it's consolidating the market and having landlords nationally purchase from the same national vendors to get those strong discounts.
Right. So it helps the vendors because they're getting groups of people they wouldn't ordinarily get. They're getting loyal groups of people. And it obviously helps the landlords because they're getting discounts that they wouldn't get even as a contractor.
Absolutely.
Okay. So Gail, would you like to take over now and ask about how the process works, and Jonah can walk us through?
Sure. Let's start with that. Tell us a little bit about the process and
Okay. So the process, it's a membership service. So what I've done is I use a hosting software called Wild Apricot, which is specifically designed for hosting membership companies. So that software right there is a fantastic, user-friendly software. Landlords can sign on. I'm going to show you through this in a moment. Landlords sign up and they're given access to a members-only content, which is away from the public domain. So again, this is an exclusive group strictly for residential landlords, people that are renovating and maintaining properties. And within the members only content, it holds all of the instructions and information you need to be able to make a purchase with each partner and how to make orders. Most of the contact details in there, you can reach out to them 24/7 because they're highly responsive on emails, texts, phone calls. So to answer that question, if you've got a couple more you want to ask, and then I'll show you through the members only content on the website.
Well, we do have some questions, but I sort of think the walkthrough might be the way to go because I think the walkthrough is going to answer the questions far better than words can do.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay. Just checking you can see the screen.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so this is what a member of the public will see is the startup page. These are the brands and companies that we have currently partnered with. Some of them are national, majority of them are national, such as American Express, Wolseley, Leon's, Dulux Paints, a couple of insurance companies, an accountancy company, just taken on a wealth management company, which is, I'm going to talk into that in a few more minutes. Very exciting stuff, that one. So this is what the general public will see. When a member is signed up, depending on which province they're in, they're all going to get access to their members only content according to their province. So obviously, with Canada being such a large country, the economy from east to west is a big difference. So that's how we try and manage and control the pricing for each member in each province. As you can see on the left-hand side here, we have a different content for every province, and this shows you behind the software. This is behind the screen. So when a member is signed up, usually, the process works. I'll have a call with a member, somebody's interested or renovating or wants to know more, and this is what they get shown through. So to begin with, again, we're an exclusive group. We have membership cards. To give you an example here, this is a membership card that I have for my account from when I purchase materials. Every single user will get one of these. This is just for forms of identification because obviously we need to protect the pricing, we need to protect the client, we need to protect the partners that we use. So this is a form of identification that can be used for in-store or whether they request your membership number just to confirm that you're an official member with us because they can't give this discount pricing to just anybody.
Right.
It's strictly for landlords, it's strictly members of the group. It cannot go to the everyday person. Just a quick miscellaneous. We do ask that members don't share pricing and broadcast it everywhere. Simply because, this is something that I want to be there in years from now, forever. If we have any mishaps or if anything gets sabotaged, like an agreement with a big company, it's only going to shoot one of us in the foot.
Yeah.
So going down, don't want to go into too much detail because I could probably talk for an hour at least. But first of all, one of the biggest contracts we have is with Wolseley Plumbing and HVAC Supplies. For those of you who don't know, Wolseley is one of the biggest global manufacturers in the world, and certainly one of the biggest in North America. So they provide electrical, kitchen and bath, everything you can think of to do with plumbing, HVAC, and electrical. And this is what a lot of the big contractors and big property management companies use. So Wolseley have a manufacturing company called Ferguson PLC. Again, huge company. So they're perfect for us. Wolseley has over 150 stores, I believe, nationwide. Might be approaching 200 now. I have to double check the numbers on that one. So no matter where a landlord is, they can get access to a Wolseley store. Whether it's, obviously the people that are quite further north, they can still get access to the closest city. And again, like I mentioned earlier, with each partner that we have, there is a associated rep that looks after our group. So for example, with Wolseley, we have a man named Stephen Hendricks, who is a sales representative. He looks after our orders. So usually when, let's say, a landlord is having a plumbing renovation done, they'll hire a contractor. The contractor will make the purchase of the materials. Usually if there's no relationship between the landlord and the contractor, there's probably going to be more costs involved, like a margin markup for materials, and then you've got the taxes on that as well. So the landlords that don't have those relationships do suffer a little bit more on the pricing. However, our concept is, if you purchase the materials as if you were the contractor, you're immediately getting the rewards on those purchases on your credit cards, whether it's air miles or cash back. You're avoiding the markup on the invoice on the end of the project because you've made the purchase, and all you're simply doing is hiring the labor and not the materials, which can save landlords a lot of money before they even get their renovation started. So with Wolseley, yeah, it's slightly different with every partner. Wolseley, again, retail store right across the country, and the savings that we have with them, it's different in every province, again, in respect to the economy being different in every province. I can talk a bit more later about some examples of the members that we've had that have saved quite a considerable amount of money and got high-end and mid-range products for their rentals.
Well, actually, that's something we were going to ask you about. We're going to say, can you take us through a couple case studies of landlords who are members of your buyers group and how it benefited them?
Would you like me to do that now, or should I just go through this a little bit more? Well, I can give you an example right here, actually, sure. So we've got a member, so I'm located in Kelowna, BC, and we actually have a member here who I know personally. His name's Adam. Don't want to give last names, don't want to upset anybody.
We're going to call him Adam because that's his name.
Yeah, Adam because that's his name, correct. So he was renovating, I believe it was just a single family home. I wouldn't even say renovating, I'd say updating. So it got a little bit tired. It needed a lot of cosmetic work, a few plumbing repairs, electrical repairs, and I think he renovated a couple of the bathrooms too. So immediately, Adam is a landlord. He's a busy, hardworking guy. He's got kids too, very busy, doesn't have a lot of time on his hands to shop around. That's another thing. Shopping around for deals is a big cost. A big costly action. It takes a long time to look around. There's a one-stop place that he can come to where he's going to get awesome pricing on great products. This is exactly it. So Adam saved, I have to double check the exact figures and the products, but he saved over $300 on the paint that he was using to paint the property. He's got a general contractor that does the work for him. The luxury vinyl plank that he bought from us, he had a total saving of $1,300 on that, and that's a 5mm luxury vinyl plank, 5mm thick, 25-year guarantee, fantastic hard-wearing, sustainable product. So now his property has been, it looks like a home that anybody would want to live in. It's looking pretty sharp, and he's got it all at discount pricing, and it's a rental. So he's going to attract good, hard-working, and nice tenants.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's another thing that this is about, is that we want to have landlords obviously every single landlord wants the best for their tenants. I'd say 9 times out of 10, this helps them do that because they want to provide a comfortable living space for them. The happier the tenant is in their environment, and the more homey the environment is, it's less likely they're going to run into chances of rent not being paid or any kind of confrontation.
We've always maintained that you want to have a really good property because you're going to attract really good tenants. If you have a slummy looking property, then you're going to be attracting people who will live in those kind of properties. And so exactly. I understand exactly where you're coming from.
Total return on investment, absolutely. Okay, so just going down quickly again, another national company that we've partnered with, Dulux Paint. There are several different paint companies you can buy paint from. Again, the concept is if we get people purchasing from the same vendors, the pricing agreement that we have will only get better and better as time goes on. Wolseley. Dulux, again, located in every town and city across the country, perfect for our members. We had a member up in Fort McMurray not long ago who had a plumbing, flooring, and paint renovation of one of his, I think it was a multi-family house. And what we've done is Dulux and Fusion Flooring, who I'm going to show you in a moment, they've collaborated so people can order their Fusion Flooring to the paint store, pay for it, and pick it up from that store as well if they choose to, or they can have it delivered to the address where the property is being renovated.
Oh, excellent.
So there's a lot of flexibility. Again, we have Alvin Barley, who's also in our Facebook group. Feel free to reach out to him if you have any questions in regards to interior, exterior painting, and flooring. He's our sales rep, and he's also a corporate accounts manager for Dulux. I believe he's down in the Lower Mainland. So Alvin looks after our members. Again, if he gets an order after a member has filled out an application form, this is then sent directly to Alvin, and he will set up your account probably within the next couple business working days. And then that's it. You're ready to start making purchases. And Alvin is your go-to man for making orders. If you're unsure what product you need, speak to Alvin. If you don't know how much paint you need, speak to Alvin. Anything to do with coating, Alvin is the man. Alvin has got a lot of experience, and he's there. It's direct contact, right? Instead of phoning Dulux, waiting on hold, speaking to an in-store rep that probably doesn't really know what they're doing, they've just been hired, you're speaking with an experienced, driven sales manager that's there to help you and assist you with your project.
That's excellent. And I'm really happy to hear about the flooring and the paint, and I'm happy that they're offering it at Fort McMurray, because I was going to ask you, how remote can you go with the Landlords Buying Group? Because that was the problem in Fort Mac. It's like there were only so many flooring and paint company stores, and you could order something or go drive out 8 hours away to Edmonton and pick something up and drive all the way back. But it's a pain in the neck. So that means you're limited to the stores that they have in the city, and the markups were always much higher than anywhere else because it was you had limited resources and they had to ship everything in. So and
that's the thing as well. Again, with being such a large country, there probably are a couple of towns or quite a few towns out there that we can't actually get to, and it's not worth a client's time leaving town to go and pick up materials. But we're trying as hard as we can to get as many people involved with this as possible, hence why we're going after national companies. We're not just going after small provincial or anything that's just in something just in Calgary or something just in Edmonton. We're trying to get national companies on board because that's the only way this concept's going to work.
Yeah, that's great.
So again, instructions how to make a purchase, there's a price list here as well. With the price increases, that's another thing I wanted to mention. With inflation and post-pandemic and just the way life goes, the materials costs goes up and up and up every year. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I've tried to establish in these agreements with these companies is that landlords are providing housing for people. We need landlords. Canada needs landlords. Canada needs housing. If year on year on year, we're simply increasing the pricing just because, one, of inflation, and two, because you can, it's not really encouraging people to get into the housing market, is it?
Yeah.
Well, especially with rent controls in Ontario and BC, because they're tied to lower than the inflation rate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's another. Sorry,
You
go
can buy
on.
furniture discounted. Is that Leon's Furniture?
Yep, I was just going to get into that. So Leon's, again, a national company. They're all over the place and they're online. What we do with each vendor is slightly different the way you make a purchase. That's why we have instructions of just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make it simple for people, keep it quick. Leon's, we have the national sales manager, Taya Hoyt, who's located in Toronto. Members reach out to her directly with the products that they would like, either through a link on the website or with the product codes. And she will put you in touch with a local representative who will then take care of your purchase order.
Oh, that's brilliant.
So, Leon's furniture, appliances, major big ticket items that you need for a rental, especially if it's not furnished, that's not considered. But it's local to you. It's going to make it easy, direct communication, save time on shopping, just get a good quality product at a great price as quick as you can and get those tenants in.
Yes, and that's the other thing is I was going to say some stores that I bought appliances from, I've got a relationship with the person there, but it takes a while to build those relationships.
Yeah.
So that if you call them and you say, look, I need 2 fridges,
Mm-hmm.
What's your best deal? And you're not getting ripped off. So you've already built those relationships. So I don't have to go out and do them because you built that already. You are getting the best deal.
Yeah. And it's one of those where the phrase comes, teamwork makes the dream work. Mm-hmm. We're all doing the same thing, providing housing for people and trying to create cash flow. So let's team up and get the same vendors and use the relationships that people already have. I've had a couple of members introduce me to the companies that they work for or they know, and that's helped us grow. It's about networking, working together to make this concept really explode. So Fusion Flooring, quickly. Smart Drop is their luxury vinyl plank product. Fantastic product. If you haven't heard of Fusion Flooring, go check out their website. Again, the link is here in the members only content. There's 100 different places you can buy flooring from. You can go to Home Depot, Home Hardware, the local store. You can even get it online on Facebook secondhand if you really want to. Again, we're trying to get members to purchase from the same vendors to get the pricing even better. And this is a high-end quality product. Just to show you some pictures, let me just load this one. Installation, I think it's this picture. Yeah. So obviously an edited picture to market the product. However, I've actually used and installed this product myself, and it's extremely durable. It's 100% waterproof. There's no need for heavy machinery or tools to install it. The installation guidelines, which are found again in the members only content, makes it very landlord friendly, quick, easy, and affordable solution to putting a new floor in a property.
Okay, I'm a big fan of vinyl plank flooring, and I have them in 2 of my properties, the basement suites. And one of them had a flood, and its floor was still good.
Yep.
And people can be really rough on the vinyl plank flooring, and it still looks just as good as new. It's the best.
It's easy to install too, usually.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those with the YouTube education today and tips from friends and family, or whether it be your contractor. Installing a luxury vinyl plank is pretty straightforward and easy. That's right, Gil.
Excellent. So we're going to wrap up with this section, move into an energy efficient section. And if people want to get in touch with you, Jonah, how do they get in touch with you? How do they become members of your Landlords Buyer Group?
So to get in touch with me, I'm available either through the website, so the Landlords Buying Group website. My cell number is there, as well as the email that we use to communicate. Mm-hmm. You can reach me through that, or through Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. So all the major social media platforms, search my name or the Landlords Buying Group, and you will find my accounts. Drop me a message. I'm available whenever you need, whether it's a weekend when you get time or whether it's during the week. I like to think I'm pretty responsive with people. So that's how you get in contact with me. And then we can do what we're doing now, have a video call, get to know each other, connect, learn from each other, because that's another thing. I learn, they learn. That's a big factor in all this as well. Networking is important. And then, we can get you in touch with our services then.
I would like to ask one quick question. We've talked about sort of obtaining the products and services, but in an emergency situation, does this accommodate that as well, or is this more for renos and that sort of thing?
To be honest with you, Gil, I haven't had an emergency situation. So
Okay.
I think in the light of an emergency, whether it be, natural disasters like a flood or a fire, I think those scenarios are where a restoration company would come in.
Right. I mean, if
However,
I had a broken tap or something like that, and I just needed to replace it fairly quickly. So not
Yeah.
necessarily that we've just damaged the property, but we just need to get something fixed, or a hot water tank that blows. Is that something that you folks like? Are you able to accommodate that speed, or is this more for renovations and that sort of thing?
I'd say we can accommodate that speed. Obviously, people full well know if they're not in a major city, it's going to be a bit slower.
Yeah.
It's location based, right? But with Wolseley, we've had a member, I think it was Monday, he put in an order for a HVAC system for a property he's extending or whatever he's doing. And his materials came a lot sooner than he thought. So again, national companies, those are the people that can shift product quickly. If you're waiting for your local flooring provider for a delivery in the new year, not going to help. We need national big companies to look after this for the small landlords. So
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
we had an example when we were property managers, Gil and I, and it was an older house that we took on that the landlord, the owner of the property, had renovated, I think mostly himself.
Yeah.
And when we got a really nice couple who moved in, and within a very short time, weird stuff started happening. Like they were saying, oh, you're having problems with the fan in the bathroom, and oh, Nelda, there's a leak coming from the upstairs onto the fuse box downstairs. So anyway, of course, I sent all these different guys, and I sent in a plumber, I sent an electrician, and what we thought might be a simple leak in the bathroom ended up turning into a major bathroom overhaul. So it cost the owner of the property quite a bit of money. And it was a huge amount of time on my part because I thought this was going to be something simple, and it ended up being a whole project that I had to manage, and I had to manage 3 or 4 different contractors and manage all the pricing and everything as well, and do the invoicing. So it was just, that kind of stuff. You can have something that you view as a small problem, and it turns into a huge problem and a huge expense. And that's, I think, where your business would, this isn't a multifamily, it's one house, one landlord, but it's going to be a huge amount of expenses to replace all the plumbing and the electrical and all the other stuff. So,
touching on that point. Touching on that point quickly, Nelda, I think I like to use the term preventative maintenance a lot with a lot of people that, again, people in the cash flow business don't want to spend money. I get that. I completely understand. However, if you can fix a problem at a preventative cost rather than a failure cost, you're going to save money in the long run. Protecting the problem is yay big rather than kicking the can down the road, and then suddenly you've got this overwhelming multi-$1,000 job that you've got to do. Tenants have got to be removed from the property for a period of time. Not worth it. It's going to stink to everyone in the future.
Yeah, actually, we had a property that we looked at. We didn't end up taking. This is a really good example of that. And when I walked in, it smelled kind of funky to me. It kind of smelled like mold. So Gil couldn't really smell it. His nose doesn't work the same way mine does. So anyway,
hasn't worked the same since.
We ended up taking our phones and looking underneath the sink, and we noticed there was black mold growing on the back wall, underneath of the sink, because they'd had a leaky faucet that he never fixed. He could have replaced the washers, replaced the faucet. That would have been a couple $100, but he never bothered doing it. It leaked behind, and then we could see that they'd gone underneath on the floor, probably in the living room as well. So what we could see was probably a tremendous black mold problem. Now, insurance was not part of that. If you went to your insurance company and said, I've got a big black mold problem, they're like, well, you didn't wake up one day and there it was. You didn't do preventative maintenance. We're not covering you. And then we said, well, you're going to have to rip all this out and replace it. And he said, well, if I do that, tenants are just going to wreck it anyway. And we couldn't get him to understand that if you have a nice property, you're going to have nice tenants. He just didn't get it. So obviously we didn't take him on as a tenant because we thought, no way, we don't deal with slums. We don't deal with slumlords. We don't deal with slum tenants either, so we take him on, but he didn't get it, and he didn't get how you have to fix small problems before, like you said, they turn into something catastrophic. Because
And now you're talking about a health
hazard.
Yeah, exactly. You can't just ignore it. I mean, he's going to want to try, but eventually someone's going to start getting sick, and it will get spotted. It will have to get dealt with.
Yeah.
So yes, so preventative maintenance, and on that topic, there's something that I always tell people that it's a really good idea to make a good business practice, and that's do property maintenance inspections. And whether that means bringing your contractor and your general contractor in, or a plumbing person, an HVAC person, and just getting to check underneath the sinks, checking for leaks, check to see the toilets flush, that all the washers are in good shape, making sure that there's no electrical stuff happening that's funky, and then fixing anything. Fireplaces are another big one. Those ones, older fireplaces especially, have all kinds of funky stuff that can go on with them that can blow your house up and kill your tenants. So you want to make sure that all those are in good shape. So maintenance inspection reports a few times a year, and then that also lets you know how your tenants are keeping their place, if they've got to grow up, if they're moving in people, if they've got 15 pets. All those sorts of things make a huge difference.
Yeah.
So maintenance is one thing. Gil, do you want to talk about energy audits or energy efficient appliances? Or Jonah, do you want to bring those up?
Well, the energy audits, I think, Nelda, you just had one done in your house. So how did that go for you?
It took a really long time. So if you're going to get one done and you're going through the government green program, I would say don't be in any kind of a rush. They're very thorough. So they check everything. They check the insulation, they check your windows, they check to see if there are leaks, and then they give you a very comprehensive report, but not right away. It took a few months, and it took a lot of poking on my part before I actually got the report. And then you file it with the government, and then it's going to take another 3 months before they get back to you and let you know whether or not you qualify for a green loan. So, but it is very good because it'll tell you what parts of your home are leaking energy. And so for me, of course, with the house that I live in right now, I'm losing 33% energy efficiency through my windows. So that's huge. So I will get those replaced.
Those windows are probably as old as the house, and there's a lot of glass in that house. So when they were originally put in, there wouldn't have been as much focus on energy efficiency. So you would be able to get a much more energy efficient window at this point and probably save a pile of money.
Yeah. Furnaces are another big one. Yeah. Having an energy efficient furnace and changing the filters on a very regular basis. So figure out what filters you have, how often they need to be changed. And then you could even write what a lot of landlords do, and I do this as well, is I'll buy 12 furnace filters for the year, and you mark January, February, March, whatever on them. Show your tenants how to change them, and then they can just take the old one out, put the new one in. And then that way your furnace is running more efficiently. Heating tips. This one I think you could both talk about, because there are things that people can do that can cut back on energy costs, such as, I'll give you one hint, unplugging things that don't need to be plugged in. And I'm not talking the fridge. But like tips for instance, if you're going away for the day, what could you do to cut back on some of your energy?
Yeah, costs? I'm a huge proponent of timers for your furnace.
Yeah.
And lights. A lot of people do lights. They'll time the lights, so you're not keeping all the lights on burning when you're gone to work.
Just doing a check of the property every time you leave. You know, as you say, lights, taps. Make sure everything's off. You know, keep doors closed. Even doors being closed can make a difference, because if a window's left open or something and the door is closed, that draft is not going to blow through as much as it would if the door was open. It's also a fire safety thing as well. So.
Excellent. Yes, and window coverings. This one came up with I had a woman who owned multifamily properties, and she used to get window coverings that got rid of the glare and that they kept the heat out during the winter, and they kept the warmth in during the winter time. I mean, vice versa, summer and winter. And she said that made a huge difference. Also, trees and shrubs can make a big difference if you've got them blocking really sunny areas, because then your house isn't overheating in the summertime.
Yeah.
Let's see. Go ahead, please.
Just a quick question for you, Nelda. When they did the audit, did they use like thermal detection stuff outside to see if there was heat escaping?
No, they didn't do that. But I do get reports from, excuse me, ATCO on a fairly regular basis about the energy efficiency of my home as compared to the ones in my area. And then they do a thermal scan of the area. So that's something you can take a look at. Insulation is another big one in your
I was going to say attic insulation is probably something that would make a big difference. And that's why I was curious about the thermal scan, because that would spot heat leaking through the attic.
And you can also get a grant for insulation through the Green Incentive Program, for the energy efficiency program. So you can get a grant for your windows, for your insulation, even for doors that are not energy efficient. And you can buy energy efficient doors too. I didn't know that. I know now because I read the report yesterday.
So the door in the house is not considered energy efficient?
It is not. It leaks too much. They take some big fan and they put plastic over it and they blow air through and they measure it with some kind of a thing. It's very noisy. They did the same with my balcony door, and then they do an energy efficiency rating on that as well to see how much leakage is happening.
Interesting.
Appliances. Can you save money on appliances?
Go ahead.
Brand new, yes. Secondhand, can't help you. That's for our service. I think if you are going to be getting appliances, if you are going to use secondhand ones, just do a thorough inspection. Try and find out a bit more about where they've come from. Test them, obviously, make sure that there's no deficiencies or anything. But we would always recommend you get new appliances if you are replacing.
I would not ever recommend secondhand appliances for a rental, because you're just
people use them. People do. So you can only point them in the right direction if you don't want to change their ways. So.
And energy efficiency appliances, that makes a big difference as well. But I just have to add in that appliances do not last very long. When I was getting a new fridge over the summer, I called around and I said, what's the best price you can give me for the longest lasting fridge? And he says, Nelda, it doesn't matter how much you pay for a fridge. The longest any one of them are ever going to last you is 7 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a corrupt scenario, because back in the day, many years ago, appliances would last 10, 20, 30. I know people with washing and drying machines that are 30 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would guess that the washing machine that was in your basement, Nelda, was probably close to that age, but we replaced it because we needed to put stackables in there. Mm-hmm. But I mean, this thing was a tank. You could fire a cannon at it and probably survive.
Yeah, and the fridge my friend John had in his kitchen, it was the original fridge that came with the house when his parents bought the house like 50 years ago. It made these really funny sighing sounds. It was like a little alien, but it kept things cold for 50 years. So, I mean, nothing wrong with that. What about smart homes? What do you guys think about smart homes and smart thermostats and water smart and all that smart stuff?
I'll take this one. I think it's a great idea.
Me too.
I mean, you've got the security aspect of it. You've got the ability to control lights and heat and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. I think it's a very logical way to go.
Controlling your home from your phone couldn't be a better idea. Most landlords don't really want to go and do maintenance checks anyway. So imagine they can control things from their phone while they're at work or when they're in their own personal property. I think it's again an absolute definite return on investment. It's a great idea. And that's something that Wolseley, that we've partnered with, are a big provider of that. There's lots of different companies under them. Like Smart Home. There's a good few of them. Yeah, and I think the security on properties as well. That's another thing.
Yes,
huge.
Yeah.
Security is a big thing. Depending on where your property is located, sometimes properties aren't in the best areas. You want to have a good security system installed, whether it be an alarm and cameras. that's another thing that we can get you in contact with as well, no matter where you are in the country. So
that can be a good selling point to a tenant as well if you can offer them that kind of security.
Yeah, because most people like to have security, especially, well, we had a lot of people who were young couples, and the wife was home alone with the baby when the husband was working out of town, and that was a real concern for them, especially if they lived on the main floor of a condo or an apartment or something. What about Energy Star home offices and Energy Star light bulbs? Are those worth what you pay for them?
I can probably take that one. I'm not sure that we can still buy incandescents. They were going to be taken off the market. So whether or not they're worth it. I mean, my experience with the energy efficient bulbs is that they don't last the 30 years they're supposed to. But still, it does save money on electricity, and it's becoming. It's not going to be a choice much longer anyway. We're going to have to buy those.
Yeah.
Cool roofs. What have you heard about those? Energy Star certified cool roofs.
I haven't heard too much about them, actually, Nelda.
Okay.
I'm also not familiar with those.
That's a short conversation. And then the last point I was going to make is document and save your receipts and make sure that you have a system where you can upload all of that sort of stuff, and it makes it easy for you to do your accounting, and so that you know what you can claim on your account and get a good account, because all of those things are going to save you money too. If you keep all your stuff in your car, in your back pocket, it's just a huge mess, and you aren't going to be able to find what you need to find to make to claim the expenses against your income tax that you need to claim as a landlord. And then I saved a really good question for the very end, and this question involves a prop. Actors like to use props because they don't steal the show, but this one might. The last question is, where can I get the Canadian Landlord's Handbook that Nelda Schulte wrote? And the answer is, you can buy it on Amazon.ca. So you can get the version that's $1.49, that is the Kindle version, or you can buy a hard copy, which is this one, for $17.95. So for under $20, you've got a handful of joy right then and there. Shameless advertising. And once again,
but it's going to save a beginner investor landlord a lot of time and hassle, because like you say, Nelda, you've got a lot of experience. You've been in this industry for a long time, and people can get it there at their fingertips and turn back to it as well.
They can. Including tips on scammers and how you spot different kinds of scams that go on that you might not know of if you're just starting out. And people like me who are crusty in the business for a while, I've seen them go around a few times. We're like, oh, okay, let's write about this one here, because this is an interesting one. So Jonah, once again, people can get in touch with you through the Landlords Buying Group, either on Facebook, your Facebook group. They can get hold of you on Twitter, on Instagram, and on LinkedIn.
Yep, correct.
And or you could reach him through his name, which is Jonah Silvock, Shilvock. Did I spell it correctly?
Yeah, and you pronounced it correctly as well. Thank you. And obviously, we have the Landlords Buying Group Facebook group, just like Nelda's group there. Come and join that. Even if you're not looking to renovate right now, come and join the group, because the more people we have involved, it's only going to help us get more partners and service the members that we currently have. So
thanks again, Jonah, for joining us on the show and for sharing your wealth of information with us. And thank you so much for starting the Landlords Buying Group, because it's so nice when people think about the small landlord, because most people don't. You're usually out on your own. So thank you very much for not only thinking about us, but helping us save money. That's
my pleasure.
And thank you, Gil, for joining us and sharing your energy saving tips with us.
Always a pleasure.
Yes, thank you all. And if you like this, like us on Facebook, like us on Instagram, like us on YouTube, like us on Twitter. You can reach me at Nelda Helps Me on Twitter. So, yes, save money, save your resources, save your sanity,
Save your time.
and save your evening and have a really good evening. We'll see you in the next episode. Ciao.
Have
for
a
now.
great evening, guys.
Bye
See
for
you.
now.